Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about speaking slowly and how it's very easy to sort of speak very quickly in order to try and get your point out there as fast as possible rather than trying to actually take the time to formulate your point properly. Right? So when you're, say, in film school or whatever and you're learning editing, right, one of the big mistakes that student filmmakers often make is that they try and cut everything far too slowly. You know, they see like films from the 70s, like The Godfather and that, and they think, oh, I want to do that. I want to be Francis Ford Coppola, right? And so they try and just cut things very slowly because they think that's what true cinema is, right? Rather than, you know, all this modern garbage of just like cut. You know, they see those every frame of painting or like Nerd Writer 1 videos, which is like, oh, this film from 1973 has a cut every 6 seconds, but this film from 2015, it's got a cut every 1.7 seconds. Oh no, right? And they see that and they think, right, well, if I want to make good films, that means that I need to cut slower. I need to do things slower, right? And people often end up going too far in that direction, right? And they make things too slow. And then, you know, as they get further into film school and they look back at their older stuff, they think, Jesus, I was cutting really slowly there. I need to try and speed things up a bit and tighten the narrative up. And they get told that by their tutors and stuff as well. So then what they do is they go and cut things as like sharply as humanly possible, right? Which ends up resulting in this really almost manic style of editing where everything is just like dum, and it's just too quick, right? And you end up overcorrecting and going the other way, right? And there's a lovely little balance somewhere in the middle, right? Which takes an extraordinary amount of skill to actually achieve, to be able to find the balance between being too slow and too fast, right? And what you need to do is you need to get yourself into a position where you can get that skill, you need to garner that. And I don't just mean for the sake of video editing, I'm just using that as an example. I wanted this video to be about talking in general and making a point, right? I often make these videos and I think that I'm talking very slowly, and then I look back and I see that I'm almost like, I'm stumbling over the words trying to get them out. I did one video on patriotism, right? And there's a video I had in mind for quite a while that I wanted to do. And I wanted to do a nice sit-down, honest-to-God discussion about the nature of patriotism and what's good and bad about it, right? And it ended up coming out like a rant, right? A full-on rant at full pelt for about 18 minutes. I'm just like flying from point to point to point, right? Without giving the points enough time to breathe. And I do find the video quite entertaining in just how visceral every single point sort of leads into the next one and how fast and over the top it is. But that's not the video that I wanted to make. I wanted to make a video that was a little bit more considered and slow tempo, right? And relaxing to watch, where it's an honest, earnest discussion on the nature of patriotism, right? And I think trying to do things too quickly or too slowly impedes your ability to do at all, right? Think about this. Say you need to get to work, right? You need to be at work at 9 a.m., right? So you could either sprint at full pelt to work, right, and get there, right, and then, you know, you're at work and you're sweaty and you're tired and you're exhausted from doing that run, right, and now you got to face a load of customers and they're not going to appreciate your sweaty armpits and stuff, right? So that's clearly not the right way of doing it. On the other hand, you could just sort of go like this. Well, I'm never going to get to work this way, am I? Right? So there's a nice balance somewhere in there, right, which is just walking normally. And we all know how to walk normally. However, I don't know if we all know how to talk normally. I certainly don't. I certainly don't know how to get my point out in a considered, matter-of-fact manner, right? Where I can just, here's my point, this is why I think this point, this is some stuff to back my point up, and here is the conclusion of my point, and I'm presenting it to you, the person that I am talking to, right? You can do that, or you can kind of just, you know, play it up for a bit of a laugh and go really fast with it and sort of go over the top of it. You can do that as well. But, or you can go really slowly. You know, there's some people that you talk to and they talk really slowly, like that. And they're kind of irritating because you're hanging on their words, waiting for them to get to the end of their point. And then on the other hand, the people that talk really quickly, you're sat there kind of like, whoa, slow down, you know? So there's got to be a nice balance in there that you can find. And I wanted to take this time to just try and slow things down and just be content in making the point at the speed that the point needs to be made at, right? So going back to the editing thing, right? A lot of my earlier films were very, very slow. There's a lot of like 10-minute short films that could have been 3-minute short films, right? But I thought when I was doing that the 3 minutes needs to be all of that 10 minutes, but like condensed into 3, right? Rather than there's just entire bits and subplots and stuff that just don't need to be there, right? Say if I was trying to make a point about, I don't know, why grass is nice, right? And I'm talking about it and I'm like, okay, well, 1, it's green, 2, it's sort of wavy, 3, there's lots of it, right? Well, of all of those, I'd say it's wavy is the only one that's sort of a decent point. Maybe it's green as well. I mean, that one is, that one's yellow, right? But look at half the information was in there. Did you need to know that one blade of grass was yellow? Do you need to know that blades of grass are green? Obviously, blades of grass are fucking green. We all know that, right? So you can take that bit out. You can take the bit out about the blade of grass being yellow and just get down to the basic point of, this is some grass. I like it. It's very nice. It's wavy. Sweet, right? And that way you can make your point in a more natural feeling manner because you're able to talk at a pace that is suitable rather than trying to pack in as much as humanly possible, right? So that's kind of the idea that I want to get across, is that there is a balance that you need to find. And I don't just mean between fast and slow in the nature of editing or in the nature of communication. I just mean in terms of everything. Take, driving, for instance. You wouldn't want to drive at like 100 miles an hour everywhere you go, right? At the same time, you wouldn't want to drive at 3 miles an hour everywhere you go. There's got to be a balance somewhere in there. All right, I know, I'll drive about 30 miles an hour. Okay, sorted, great, right? Take learning, right? You try and learn another language, right? Try and learn another language in a day. You're not going to learn it. You're not actually going to get to grips with any of it just because you've had all the words blasted into your mind via cue cards that you've got to flash as fast as possible so you could learn every single word in that small amount of time. Doesn't mean anything, right? Because you're sat there trying to learn as fast as possible. You can't learn as fast as possible. You can learn at the pace that you learn. And all you can do is cut down on the procrastination, the not learning bit, and try and pack in as much learning as possible, rather than trying to pack the learning that you were going to do into a short span as you can. Right? So I think that's generally the point of the video, is it's just about finding nice balances between, simple, complicated, long, short, fast, slow. And there's always a balance that needs to be reached, right? And if you tip the balance too far, then you're going to end up either boring everyone to tears, or you're going to confuse people, and people are going to be annoyed trying to keep up with you, right? So yeah, that's kind of the point of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and leave your thoughts in the thing below in terms of, do you think that you talk too fast or too slow? I know one thing about talking too fast is it tends to be a sign of a lack of confidence, right? If you're talking really, really quickly, it's as if you're trying to get your point out as fast as possible because you don't want to waste anyone else's time. You're not wasting other people's time, right? You're only wasting their time if you as fast as possible, and now they can't figure out what you said, so you might as well have not said anything, right? Do you see how I just did that? I did a very quick fire burst of discussion there, right? Because I had one big point I wanted to condense down. It was a lot of words that could have been condensed down into a few words that still made the same point. So that's an example of a lack of confidence, right? And I want to try and fix that. I want to try and learn to talk slower, particularly in these videos as well. I know there's a big thing on YouTube of fast talking people, particularly cynics. The fast talking cynic is a big staple of the YouTube sort of video culture. And yeah, I want to try and get away from that. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's the video. So thank you very much for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.